Well, good afternoon, everybody. Once again, my name is Stephanie Adams, and I am one of the instructional designers within the Department of Cyber Learning at YSU here. If you're not familiar with our office, we provide support for faculty for online course design and development. And of course, we are your main support for Blackboard on campus. So I want to thank you all for joining our webinar this afternoon on Blackboard Ultra. Today's session specifically, we will be covering creating assignments. Now, just a few housekeeping items before we jump into our session today. I am recording the session. You will receive a link to this recording by the end of today. And in that email, I will also provide you with some instructional documents on how to do all of the things that I show today. So not only will you have the video, but you will also have the instructional documentation step-by-step showing you how we do everything. I am going to keep our chat window open on one of my screens here. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to jump into that chat window. I am going to pause periodically for questions, but if you think of something, go ahead and put it in there so you don't forget. But of course, you can always come off mic and just ask us a question verbally. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So here are our training objectives for today. So by the end of the session, you'll be able to create an assignment, adjust assignment settings based off of your specific assignment. We'll also create a rubric. Then we're going to switch gears and play the role of a student and submit an assignment as a student so you can see what that process looks like and answer any questions that your students might have with that process. And then we'll switch back to our instructor hat and we will grade the assignment. So those are our training objectives for today. Before we jump in, I always like to pause on this screen and just see, does anyone have any questions with our training objectives or anything specific to assignments that you want to make sure you saw today or you wanted to make sure I cover in terms of creating assignments, settings, or rubrics, or assignment grading? All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our first training objective, which is going to be to create an assignment. Now, an assignment in Blackboard Ultra is great for anything that you need your students to really submit to you. So let's think about in a traditional instructional method classroom where your students actually hand you a paper and then you grade it and hand it back to them. The assignment feature in Blackboard really takes the place of that. So it's going to allow you to kind of have a paperless experience for your students, but you're also now going to have an electronic copy of their submission. You're going to have a date and time of their submission, but you can also grade the assignment right within Blackboard as well. So let's start off and create an assignment. So I am in Blackboard here on my institution page. We're going to head over to my courses on the left navigation menu. We're going to go ahead and jump into my course. Now with Blackboard Ultra, whenever you're ready to begin building content or assessments, you're going to locate where you want to insert that assessment or piece of content. You're going to select the purple plus sign and choose Create. We have that panel that opens up on the right-hand side. And towards the middle of that panel in the assessment section, we'll select Assignment. Our new assignment page is going to go ahead and open up, and we're going to work left to right, top to bottom. So first, we're going to go ahead and name our assignment. In the upper right corner, we're going to adjust our visibility settings. So do we want to keep this hidden from our students right now? Do we want to make it visible right now? Is it ready to go? Or we can talk about release conditions if we have time towards the end of our session. Do I want to show this to my students on a certain date and time? So I'm going to go ahead and just make this visible. And the center of my screen is where I'll start building my assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and select this plus sign. Now, there's going to be a lot in this menu. I want to direct your attention to the bottom three options in this menu. So add text, add local file, and add file from storage. For an assignment, you probably have your assignments in maybe a OneDrive document, maybe a Word document, or maybe you just want to build it right within the window here. So that's where these three options are going to come into play. So I'm going to go ahead and just select Add Text. This is where I'll go ahead and type out my assignment instructions, the directions, any information that my students need to know for the assignment. Now, if you're familiar with Ultra or you attended our training yesterday, you'll notice we have that same editor toolbar that we have when we were creating content. So I can go ahead and adjust this and really customize it. I can also go ahead and use that attachment icon to search my local device and upload potentially my assignment document or any other assignment supporting materials. I'm going to go ahead and select Save. And there's my assignment content. It's pretty simple to set up an assignment. Now, of course, we're going to get into some more advanced details, but real quick, let me show you those steps one more time. When you're ready to build your assignment, you're going to locate where you want to add the assignment, choose that purple plus sign, then create. From the right panel, we're going to choose assignment. We're going to name our assignment. In the upper right corner, we'll adjust those visibility settings. And then in the center of the screen, we can start building the content or instructions for the assignment. So I'll choose that purple plus sign. I want you to head towards the bottom of that menu and either add text yourself, add a file from your computer, or add a file from Microsoft OneDrive. If you choose to add text, you're going to have that same editor toolbar. We can also add attachments here and then simply select Save. Pretty simple process. We are going to get into some more of the details and settings of the assignment, but I just want to pause. Are there any questions with just the steps to build an assignment? All right. So one thing I want to point out before we get to those assignment settings over on the right-hand side, I want to direct your attention to the upper right corner. Right next to those visibility settings, you're going to see this kind of star icon. You're going to see this icon a lot throughout Ultra. That icon is for the AI Design Assistant. This AI Design Assistant is going to help generate assignments for you. I just want to show real quick how this works. We do have previously recorded webinars on all of the AI features in Ultra. So I'm going to direct you to those, but I do want to point this out real quick. So if I select the AI Design Assistant, it's going to help me create this auto-generated assignment where I can type out over on the left-hand side a description for my assignment or some keywords, maybe the learning objectives for this particular module. Or what I really like is you can actually select course items. So by choosing this option, I can go into this particular course and I can tell the platform, I want to use, well, this isn't a great example, but I want to use this particular document and I want to use this TED Talk. And I want to use some of these content items. And over on the right, I'm going to select items. Now I can go ahead and select my desired cognitive level, how complex I want the assignment, the auto-generated assignment to be. And I'm going to go ahead and just select a generate. So what it's doing is this AI Design Assistant is looking at those content items that I selected, and it's going to auto-generate me an assignment based off of those items. Now, of course, the content items I selected were very random and they didn't really build off of each other. So what you're seeing over on the right-hand side isn't going to be the best example. But the great thing is that you can go ahead and choose one of these assignments. And then, of course, we all know when we're using AI, we still need that human element. So go ahead in here and make some adjustments to this recommendation that it gave you. Now you can kind of build your assignment off of that AI Design Assistant. Any questions with that AI design assistant? Again, we do have a lot of materials and recordings that I can provide to you, but that was too good to pass up, especially since they added in that content selector where you can choose the content that you want the AI design assistant to know. Any questions with creating an assignment or using the AI design assistant to auto-generate an assignment? All right, so let's go ahead and adjust some of those assignment settings. So within my assignment here, over on the right-hand side, I'm going to select the options gear, and that's going to open up the assignment settings. Now, there are a lot of settings in here. We are not going to go through all of these for you because honestly, you're not going to need them all. I'm going to show you the most popular ones, the ones we recommend using, and the ones that we see used a lot. So first and foremost, I do like to point out that due date. I highly recommend using a due date. First, it's going to put that due date in your student's Blackboard calendar. I also recommend using a due date as opposed to putting a due date in the actual assignment instructions. I recommend that because moving forward, if you copy your course content from semester to semester, you're not going to have to go through the text of every single assignment and double check the dates. You can just go through the due date. So due date is something I do recommend using for an assignment. If we scroll down to grading and submissions, I do recommend adjusting the attempts allowed. This is going to allow your students multiple attempts to submit their assignment. So I always like to take into consideration issues with technology, especially if you have students that maybe aren't extremely comfortable using the platform yet, maybe provide them more than one attempt to upload their submission. This is where you can adjust the points of your assignment. And for the most part, those are the session or the adjustments that I recommend for the settings for an assignment. Now you'll notice if I scroll down here, we have a lot of other options. Some of these options lend themselves to an actual test or a quiz. But again, the settings I recommend for an assignment are going to be the due date, the attempts allowed, and of course, adjusting those points to match your syllabus. Once you make adjustments to your settings, you'll just select Save in the lower right corner. You can always revisit those assignment settings at any time by choosing that options gear. That panel will open up on the right and we can make any other adjustments. Folks, are there any questions with the assignment settings? I know I didn't go through all of them, but any questions with what you saw or any questions with a specific setting that you know that you are interested in using in your course that you would like me to show?
I have one question, Stephanie.
Yes.
In regular Ultra, I've noticed if I were to copy an assignment from one, let's say one section of a class to another, I can copy the description, the content, the problems, but I can't copy the submission link. I have to create that separately. In your example so far today, it looked like the create assignment generated the submission link automatically. Will I be able to copy that over from one section to another this time, or do I still have to do that manually?
That's a great question. And that's going to be similar to the copy content. If you remember yesterday in our training session, that copy content in the upper right corner, this is where you're going to be able to copy items from another course. And that's going to allow you to copy assignments from a previous course into this course.
Okay, all good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions with creating assignments or those assignment settings?
Can you talk a little bit about that safe assign?
Absolutely.
Now it report.
So let's go into my assignment here. I'm not going to be able, I don't think I have a good example to show, but in your assignment settings, towards the bottom of that panel, we're going to be able to turn on Safe Assign. So all we have to do is simply toggle it on and select Save at the very bottom. So if we scroll down at the bottom, we can see that Safe Assign is enabled. Basically, what this is going to do is check your student submissions for plagiarism. I don't think I have an example of what that originality report looks like. I can check if we have time at the end of our session, but this originality report will basically provide you with sections of your student submissions that are plagiarized. It'll provide you with the resource that it's pulled from if they're not citing things correctly. That's what that originality report is going to show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's go ahead and move forward in our training objectives here, and let's talk about creating a rubric. So we know that rubrics are a great way to objectively evaluate our students, especially when they're providing us with an assignment. So let's go ahead and talk about creating a rubric. This also helps us to ensure consistency with our grading, also allows us to be transparent with our students so they really know what they're being evaluated against. So I'm still in this assignment that I just created. I'm going to head back to those assignment settings on the right-hand side. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll down once again. Again, a lot of assignment settings in here, but we're going to look for the option that says Use Grading Rubric. Once I select that, I have two options. I can create one from scratch. If I had additional rubrics already created in this course, they would show here and I could just attach a rubric. Or, which we'll get to, I can generate a rubric using the AI Design Assistant. So let's talk about creating a rubric from scratch first. This is going to open up our new rubric. We're going to go ahead and be prompted to name the rubric. Go ahead and name it something meaningful that my students will be able to use and identify. And then you'll see here, we basically just have a template rubric. The nice thing about this is I can add additional columns. I can delete anything I don't want to use. I can add items at the bottom of my rubric. Everything on here I can edit. So I'm not going to go through actually typing out information here, but you'll notice that I can edit anything on this screen. Now, right now, we cannot upload a rubric. So if you do have your rubric built within a Word document or an Excel file, unfortunately, you cannot upload that yet. But you can simply copy and paste the items from that document into here if that's something that you already have created. Once you've created your rubric, you're going to hit Save in the lower right corner. You'll notice the rubric that I created is going to be listed here on the right-hand side. Again, if I had additional rubrics, they would be listed here as well. And then I'm going to simply select Add to add it to this assignment. So you'll notice now under Grading Rubric, I have my assignment for rubric, and then I'll simply select Save. Let's walk through that process one more time. So I'm going to go ahead and access my assignment. I'm going to choose the assignment settings on the right-hand side. I'm going to scroll down to add grading rubric. Again, I can create one from scratch. I can add an already created one, or I can select generate. Remember, if I select create, I'm just going to name my rubric. I'm going to choose a point or percentage based rubric. I can adjust anything I see on the screen here and then simply select save. Once I'm ready to add a rubric to this particular assignment, I just choose which one and I select add. Any questions with creating or assigning a rubric? So we do have one question coming through asking, does every criterion have to have the same amount of columns? So criterion 2 right now has excellent, satisfactory, and unsatisfactory. The question is it possible for criterion 3 to maybe just have a pass fail? Unfortunately, no. So if I delete this column here, it's going to delete the entire column. But I'll go ahead and make a note and find out if different criterions in a rubric can have different numbers of columns. I will go ahead and find that out for you. That may be something that's in the works already, so I'll go ahead and check for you. I do want to direct your attention again on the right-hand side, instead of creating a rubric from scratch, which we know takes a lot of time, I want to point out the generate option. If I select generate, this is going to allow me to type out my assignment description, the learning objectives, the topic. I can even copy and paste my assignment instructions in here. And I can actually have the AI design assistant generate me a rubric. So I just have some assignment instructions that I'm going to paste in there. I'm going to choose my rubric type, complexity, columns, and select generate. And again, anything that the AI design assistant in Blackboard is going to generate for you, we always want to make sure we're adding that human element to it. So you might have some adjustments you need to make, but this is definitely going to save you a lot of time building your rubrics. So here's the rubric it generated for us. We can select continue. And once we do that, then we can go ahead and edit and make those adjustments. All right, now that we have created our assignment, again, let's switch gears. As I mentioned, we're going to put our student hat on. Sometimes it's not a fun hat, but we're going to do it. And we're going to go ahead and access the assignment and submit our assignment. So in my course here, in the upper right corner, what I'm going to do is I'm going to access student preview mode. This allows you to access your course as a student. It basically creates a student account for you. And it's going to allow you to see the course, interact with the course from a student perspective. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so now we are in this course as a student. We're going to go ahead and access our assignment that we just created. I have to find where we put it. There it is, assignment 4. So as a student, I don't automatically be put into the assignment. I get this panel that opens up on the right-hand side with some assignment details. I can see the due date, how many attempts I have. I can see that this item is graded with a rubric. This allows me to see the rubric beforehand, so I can go ahead and do that. If you did have descriptive text for each of those criterion, this would show here. So this isn't a great example. I do apologize. But as a student, let's go ahead and access that assignment. And in the lower right corner, select Start Attempt. This isn't going to look very different from what you saw as an instructor. You're going to see all the assignment content that you created. If you've included any attachments, the students can go ahead and view those. And the submission box is where they are going to upload their assignment. Now you're going to see they have that same editor toolbar that we've seen in various parts of an Ultra course. So they can type out their assignment. I do recommend having them actually upload a document to their assignment because that's going to allow you to use some annotation tools if you need to do that or like to do that. So they can go ahead and add an attachment and attach that file. Students can choose save and close in the lower right corner to save this as a draft and revisit it, or they can submit it right now. So they have those two options in the lower right corner. I'm going to go ahead and select submit. It does give them a confirmation. They'll go ahead and select submit again. And then what I really like is it sends them this message. It says your submission was successful, and it's going to provide them with that confirmation. So they can download this confirmation. They're also going to receive an email to their YSU email account with submission confirmation details. This is crucial because there are going to be students that say, I submitted it, or I know I submitted it, I don't know what happened. As long as we have this information, we can look this up. So I always recommend having students either download this or saving that email that comes to them with their submission confirmation. So we'll just go ahead and hit close. And we can see here, I have no attempts left. Also see, as a student, this is what the email looks like because I just received it. This is what the email looks like. As a student, they will see that their assignment was submitted. Any questions with how students submit assignments? Let's go ahead and revisit our training objectives. We are going to go ahead into our last objective for today, and that's going to be to grade the assignment. So we're going to switch gears. We're back with our instructor hat on, and we're going to go ahead and grade the assignment. So the due date has come and gone. Our students hopefully have submitted their assignments to Blackboard. It is Sunday evening. I have the Olympics on, and I'm ready to grade my assignments. So we're going to come into our Blackboard course here, and we're going to head to the grade book at the very top navigation bar. So the very top of the screen, we're going to head to the grade book. Now, what we're going to see here in the grade book is all of our students down the left-hand side and all of our assessment items, anything that is graded across the top there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm assuming my assignment 4 is at the end because we just created it. We can see assignment 4. And we can see I have a new submission. So let's go ahead and click on that to view and grade the submission. So once you're in the grading portal, I guess you can say, Blackboard Ultra has really updated their grading interface. This is what they call flexible grading. So there is going to be a lot on the screen here. I'm going to kind of show you what everything is, where everything's located, and then we'll talk about how do I grade a paper. So over on the left-hand side, we only have one student submission. So we only see Stephanie Adams, preview user, on the left-hand side. Hopefully, when you are ready to grade your assignments, you're going to see all your students' names on the left-hand side. So that's where you're going to see all the students that have submitted to this assignment. We can see again in the upper left corner, the student that I'm currently viewing. You can see the assignment content. So I can expand this and see the assignment instructions, the directions, whatever I set up as the instructor, that is there for you. Keep that collapsed. We don't need that. In the center of the screen, you're going to see the student submission. So you can go ahead and see that this is the document that the student uploaded for their submission. Right above the document, you're going to get the annotation toolbar. This is where you can annotate directly on their document. So there's going to be a lot of different tools here, depending on how you like to annotate or provide comments on a document. You can go ahead and draw, or we can go ahead and add comments directly to a specific sentence or a piece of the paper itself. We can also add text boxes. We have some drawing tools, so a lot of different options here. But this is why I recommend students upload a file as opposed to uploading just text, because you won't be able to provide any annotation or comments if they just add text to their submission. Let's go ahead and head over to the right-hand side. I'm going to expand the feedback panel. The feedback panel is going to allow me to provide overall feedback to the entire assignment submission. So as opposed to providing comments throughout the document, this would just be my overall feedback that I'm going to provide to the student. Something I do really like about Ultra is that you can provide audio and video feedback right here as well. So for those of you teaching in a completely asynchronous environment, this is really going to enhance that instructor presence. And I was going to see if it would let me go ahead and record. But since I'm using WebEx, it probably won't let me use two recording features at the same time. But you can add audio or video feedback. And then below the feedback option is going to be our rubric. Remember, we created our assignment, we created a rubric, and we assigned that rubric to the assignment. So this is where we can go ahead and provide our students, grade the student submission with the rubric. Again, if you did have descriptions for what criterion 2 is, what criterion 3 is, or of course, you're probably not going to name them criterion 2 and criterion 3, you'll actually see that information here, so you'll know what you're actually scoring. But the nice thing is all you have to do is choose the score for the student. And now at the very top, Blackboard has done all the work for me. So now I can see the student's max score. In the upper right corner, I can go ahead and post the grade. This is a new feature in Ultra. Just because I graded the assignment does not mean the student can see their grade. You do have to go ahead and post the grade for the student to see it. Now, if I had additional student submissions over here on the left-hand side, I would just simply head to the next student and go ahead through grading their assignment. To get back to my grade book, in the upper left corner, I'm going to choose the X, and that's going to bring me back to that grade book view. One more time, let me recap those steps for you. So we're heading to our grade book at the top navigation. We are locating our assignment. You will see the option, remember, new submission. So we'll go ahead and choose new submission and then view. And then we're brought into this flexible grading interface. So over on the left-hand side, we'll go ahead and see all of our students that have submitted. Whatever student we are currently have selected, we'll see their submission in the center of the screen. We can go ahead and make comments or annotations directly on their submission. Over on the right-hand side, we can provide overall feedback for the entire submission. And we can also adjust the grading using the rubric that we've created and assigned. Once we have our grade in the upper right corner, we can go ahead and post it. Of course, I've already posted this grade, but you can see post grade there, and that would make their grade visible to students. Folks, what questions do we have about grading an assignment?
Hi, this is Dave. Bruce, I have a question sort of related to that, sort of to the uploading.
Okay.
Are there formats for files converted more easily than others? I know I've had trouble in the past. Sometimes they put like a pages doc, and converting that is a pain.
Correct.
Do those work?
Let me pull what the actual supported document types are. I would say I have also had issues with the same exact thing you're stating. They just don't convert, and then the instructor can't see anything. So let me go ahead quickly and pull what the supported file types are. In the meantime, any other questions with grading an assignment?
Kind of related to what Dave was asking. In my courses, the programming courses, they upload zip files, which will never render.
Okay.
am I able to provide feedback in form of a file? So I go through and say, here's all the commentary, the things I see. Rather, of course, I can't annotate directly in the document, but can I provide a file?
Yep, absolutely. Great question. So I am in that flexible grading screen. I am viewing Stephanie Adams's assignment. In that overall feedback, you're going to see kind of a condensed editor toolbar over here on the right-hand side. If you choose that plus icon, that's where you can attach a file.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on any of the training objectives that we talked about today? So we created an assignment and we adjusted the settings. We created a rubric and assigned the rubric to our assignment. Then we switched gears and actually went into the assignment as a student and submitted the assignment, and then we graded the assignment. So to answer that earlier question, I just sent a chat. It looks like supported file types are going to be, does not support, I don't believe pages is one of those descriptions. So this is what we're going to be in terms of our supported file types for when students submit work. No problem. All right, folks. Well, I want to go ahead and thank you for joining our training webinar this afternoon on creating assignments. There are, of course, a lot of different ways that we can utilize assignments. Today's webinar was just to show you the how-tos. How do we create it? How do we set it up? Reach out to us once you're comfortable with creating and building an assignment. We can take you to the next level. We can kind of show you those creative applications for assignments in Blackboard. So feel free to contact me directly. Again, you will receive a link by the end of the day to this recorded webinar and also some instructional documentation. You can also reach out to anybody on our team here in the Department of Cyber Learning, and our contact information is there at the bottom for you. Once again, thanks for joining. Thanks for your commitment to Ultra, and everybody have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Stephanie. Great information.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good one.
Hey, a quick question. Building off of this, there's a webinar coming up on setting up a gradebook. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, I think